Life often feels like a complex dance of connections, some deep, some fleeting. But what happens when someone decides to walk away? The moment they turn their back can feel like a storm rolling in, darkening the skies of our emotions. It's raw, it's confusing, and sometimes it's downright heartbreaking. But what if I told you this moment, this storm, carries an opportunity to transform your life in ways you might not expect? We often misunderstand what it means when someone leaves. Many of us leap to conclusions thinking, was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Will I ever feel whole again? These common misconceptions trap us in a cycle of self-doubt and despair. But here's the truth. When someone walks away, it's not about losing something, it's about discovering something new about yourself, your strength, and your future. This video isn't about quick fixes or hollow affirmations. It's about diving deep into actionable, powerful steps grounded in personal growth and the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. You'll learn how to reclaim your power, honor your feelings, and emerge stronger on the other side. So if you're ready to uncover the secrets to handling this moment with courage and clarity, stick around, because the journey starts now. Let's begin with the first step, and perhaps the most important one: acknowledging your feelings. 1. Acknowledge your feelings. How do you feel right now? Take a moment to pause and name it. Is it anger, sadness, betrayal, confusion, or all of the above? Whatever it is, let it surface. When someone walks away, the most natural response is an emotional wave crashing over you. And too often we resist it, suppress it, or try to ignore it. But here's the truth. Suppressing emotions doesn't make them disappear. It only makes them fester. Imagine you're standing on the shore, watching the tide roll in. Each wave is a feeling. If you try to block it, the water doesn't stop. It just builds up and crashes harder. The same principle applies to your emotions. Stoicism teaches us to face life as it is, not as we wish it to be. This includes facing the discomfort of hurt and loss head-on. You might be wondering, why should I sit with pain? Isn't it better to distract myself or move on quickly? Let's challenge that idea. Pain is not your enemy. It's a signal, a message from within, telling you that something meaningful has occurred. Acknowledging it isn't about wallowing, it's about respecting your inner experience. Would you silence a friend who's trying to share their story with you? No, you'd listen. Now apply that same empathy to yourself. Here's a simple exercise. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what am I feeling? I don't judge the answers. If tears come, let them. If anger flares, let it burn for a moment. By naming and embracing these feelings, you create space for healing. This isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to confront what hurts, to sit with it instead of running away. But there's a trap here, one many of us fall into. We mistake acknowledging our feelings for becoming consumed by them. There's a fine line between understanding your emotions and letting them dictate your actions. Remember, you are not your sadness. You are the observer of it. Stoicism reminds us to identify with our rational mind, the part of us that remains steady even in turmoil. So when you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what part of me is experiencing this emotion, and what part of me is observing it? Let's explore an analogy to make this clearer. Imagine your emotions are passengers on a bus, and you're the driver. Anger might be shouting in the back seat, sadness might be weeping near the window, and confusion might be lost, staring at a map. They're loud, distracting, even overwhelming, but they're not in control. You are. Acknowledge them, but don't let them take the wheel. Acknowledging your feelings also requires letting go of self-judgment. Too often we criticize ourselves for feeling too much or not enough. But what if there's no wrong way to feel? What if every emotion you're experiencing is valid simply because it's yours? Embrace that idea. It's liberating. Let's not forget the wisdom of Stoic relationships here. One of the core principles is focusing on what you can control. You can't control whether someone stays or leaves, but you can control how you respond. Acknowledging your feelings is the first act of reclaiming that control. It's saying, I will face this moment with honesty and grace. This step isn't about instant relief. It's about laying a foundation. When you honor your emotions, you build trust with yourself. You show yourself that you are capable of handling even the hardest moments. And that trust, it's what will carry you forward. So what's the next step after acknowledging your feelings? It's giving yourself the time and space to process them. Stay tuned, because in the next part we'll dive into how to create that space without losing yourself in the process. Remember, your journey to strength and clarity has only just begun. 2. Take time to process. When someone walks away, your mind and heart can feel like they're in overdrive. Questions swirl. Why did this happen? What could I have done differently? What happens next? It's tempting to search for immediate answers or to act on impulse, whether that means reaching out, blaming yourself, or seeking distractions. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't come from rushing or reacting. It comes from slowing down, breathing, and giving yourself the space to process. Have you ever noticed how clarity comes when you're not forcing it? Imagine holding a jar of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the water remains cloudy. But when you set it down and let it rest, the dirt settles and the water becomes clear. Your mind works the same way. After someone walks away, you need that time to let the emotional mud settle. But here's a challenge. How do you allow yourself to process without getting stuck in a loop of overthinking? This is where Stoicism offers a powerful perspective. Instead of dwelling on why this happened, a question tied to the past, shift your focus to what you can do next. A question tied to your future. The present moment is your arena. The past is gone, and the future isn't here yet. Your power lies in how you use today. Start by setting boundaries with yourself. Give your mind and heart the permission to pause. This might mean taking a break from social media, avoiding places or people that remind you of the person, or simply saying no to the pressure to be okay right away. Processing takes time, and time is not your enemy, it's your ally. Some might ask, but what if I need closure? What if I can't move forward without knowing why they left? It's a valid question, but one with a complex answer. Closure isn't always something you receive from others. In fact, the most profound form of closure often comes from within. It's the moment you decide to let go of the need for explanations and trust that you'll be okay, even without them. Closure is not what they give you, it's what you give yourself. Here's an exercise to help. Find a quiet space, grab a piece of paper, and write a letter to the person who left. Pour out your thoughts, your feelings, and your questions. Be honest and unfiltered. Then, when you're done, decide whether to keep it, tear it up, or burn it. The act of writing helps externalize your emotions, giving your mind room to breathe. And by choosing what to do with the letter, you reclaim a sense of control. Processing also means being kind to yourself during this time. You wouldn't expect a wound to heal overnight, would you? So why expect your heart to do the same? Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Take walks in nature. Journal your thoughts. Meditate. Spend time with people who make you feel supported and seen. Every small act of care is a step toward healing. But let's talk about one of the biggest pitfalls, the urge to act impulsively. How often do we send that late-night text, stalk someone's social media, or make decisions out of pure emotion? And how often does it make us feel better? Rarely. Instead, it often deepens the pain. Remember, your actions during this time should be guided by your long-term well-being, not your short-term feelings. This is where Stoicism shines again. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, take thoughtful action. If it isn't, release it. Holding on to what you can't control only drains your energy. Picture yourself as a ship's captain during a storm. The wind and waves are beyond your control, but your steering wheel isn't. Focus on what you can navigate. Now let me ask you, what would happen if you gave yourself permission to simply be during this time? To sit with your emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, without rushing to fix them. You might discover a strength you didn't know you had. You might see that processing isn't about figuring everything out, it's about creating space for clarity to arise on its own. This step isn't about isolation, it's about balance. While solitude can be healing, connection matters too. Share your journey with trusted friends, family, or even a therapist. You don't have to go through this alone. Let others remind you of who you are when your world feels shaken. And if you're watching this video right now, know that this community is here for you too. If you're finding value in this conversation, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit that like button and drop a comment below with number 1 to let us know you're here and that this is resonating with you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more insights on Stoic relationships, self-discovery, and personal growth. Together we can navigate life's challenges with strength and grace. Processing what has happened takes time, but it's a gift you give yourself. It's not about forgetting, it's about understanding, releasing, and moving forward. And when you're ready to take that next step, stay with us. The next part of this journey will focus on finding clarity and understanding the reasons behind what happened. 3. Understand the reasons. When someone walks away, our minds often race to fill in the blanks. Why did this happen? Was it something I said or did? Could I have prevented it? This search for answers can feel like wandering through a maze with no clear exit. But understanding the reasons behind someone's departure isn't about finding every answer. It's about seeking clarity where clarity is possible and accepting the limits of what we can know. Let's start with a question. Do you truly believe every action someone takes is about you? It's a humbling and liberating thought. People's decisions are often more about their internal struggles, needs, and desires than they are about our shortcomings. Yet we often internalize blame, thinking we must have done something wrong. This is where Stoicism offers powerful guidance. It reminds us to separate what is ours to carry from what is theirs. The choices they make belong to them, how you respond belongs to you. But how do you approach understanding without spiraling into overthinking? Start by reflecting with compassion, both for yourself and for the other person. Put yourself in their shoes. What pressures, fears, or personal battles might they have been facing? This doesn't mean excusing hurtful behavior, but rather recognizing that their actions stem from their own humanity. As Marcus Aurelius, a great proponent of Stoicism, said, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This reflection isn't about self-blame. It's about gaining perspective. Sometimes people walk away because they feel overwhelmed, unfulfilled, or unsure of their own direction. Other times, the relationship may no longer align with their values or needs. It's not necessarily a judgment on your worth or efforts. Relationships are complex dances between two people's individual journeys. When those paths diverge, the choice to leave might simply be a reflection of that divergence. However, let's also address the uncomfortable possibility. Sometimes we contribute to the dynamic in ways we didn't realize. This is where deep self-reflection comes in. Ask yourself, were there patterns in the relationship that needed addressing? Were there moments where I could have communicated more openly or listened more deeply? This isn't about dwelling on guilt, but about using the experience to grow. But here's a truth that's difficult to swallow. Sometimes you won't get the full picture. You might never know exactly why they left. This uncertainty can be maddening, but it also presents an opportunity to let go of the need for complete understanding. Why? Because your peace doesn't have to depend on their explanation. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and their reasons, unspoken or unclear, are beyond your grasp. What's within your power is how you choose to move forward. Think of it this way. Imagine you're reading a book and suddenly a page is missing. You could fixate on the gap, trying to reconstruct what's missing, or you could keep reading, trusting that the story will still make sense in the end. Life works the same way. The missing page, their reasons, isn't the entirety of your story. Understanding also involves balancing head and heart. While logical reflection helps you analyze the situation, it's equally important to honor your emotional truth. Acknowledge the hurt, the disappointment, or even the anger. But don't let those feelings cloud your perspective. Anger, for instance, can make us cast blame where it doesn't belong. Disappointment can make us idealize the past or vilify the person who left. Neither extreme serves you. Seek balance. There's another layer to this process. Understanding doesn't always mean direct communication. You might feel tempted to reach out and demand answers, and in some cases, having a conversation can bring clarity. But before you do, ask yourself, am I seeking closure, or am I seeking validation? If your goal is to understand and grow, proceed thoughtfully. If your goal is to reopen wounds or prove something to them, consider whether that serves your healing. Now, let's touch on an important aspect of Stoic relationships. At their core, these relationships emphasize mutual respect, clear communication, and understanding without control. When someone walks away, the most Stoic response isn't to cling or demand, it's to respect their choice while maintaining your integrity. This respect for others' autonomy is a cornerstone of Stoicism, and it's one of the greatest acts of strength you can practice. Finally, use this moment as a mirror. Ask yourself, what can I learn about my own needs, values, and boundaries? Every relationship, even those that end painfully, teaches us something about ourselves. Maybe it highlights what you value most in a connection. Maybe it reveals patterns you want to break. Or perhaps it shows you the kind of love you want to give and receive in the future. Extract these lessons. They are the gifts hidden in the pain. Remember, understanding the reasons behind someone walking away isn't about assigning blame or dissecting every detail. It's about seeing the bigger picture and finding clarity where you can. And when clarity isn't possible, it's about finding peace in the not knowing. This is where your strength lies, not in the answers you uncover, but in your ability to move forward regardless. As we continue this journey, stay with me. The next step is one of empowerment, focusing on your own growth. It's time to shift the narrative from what you've lost to what you can gain. Your future is waiting. Let's move toward it together. 4. Focus on your own growth. When someone walks away, it's easy to feel like the world has shifted beneath your feet. Suddenly, what felt stable and certain now seems fragile. But here's a powerful truth. When someone leaves, they create space. And in that space lies the opportunity for growth, an opportunity to focus on yourself, your passions, and your potential in ways you might not have imagined before. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you truly prioritized your own growth? For many of us, relationships can take so much of our energy and attention that we forget to invest in ourselves. When someone walks away, it's an invitation not to dwell on their absence, but to rediscover your presence. Who are you without them? What dreams, interests, and strengths are waiting to be explored? Take a moment to consider this. Your growth isn't just about moving on, it's about moving up. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every change is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more in tune with yourself. In Stoicism, there's a concept called amor fati, or love of fate. It's the idea that we should embrace everything that happens to us, even the difficult moments, because they shape us into who we're meant to be. Can you see how this situation might be shaping you? So where do you start? Begin by reconnecting with your passions. What lights you up inside? Maybe it's an old hobby you've neglected or a skill you've always wanted to learn. Channel the energy you once poured into the relationship into something that nurtures you. Whether it's painting, writing, exercising, or learning a new language, let your passions remind you of your capacity to create, grow, and thrive. At the same time, consider the relationships you still have, the ones that lift you up. When was the last time you spent quality time with your friends, your family, or even yourself? Use this time to deepen those connections. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth and encourage your growth. And don't forget to nurture the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. Now, let's talk about self-care, because it's not just a trendy buzzword, it's a necessity. Self-care isn't just about bubble baths or treating yourself. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and taking the time to care for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. When someone walks away, it's common to feel depleted. Self-care helps you refill your cup so you're ready to face the world with renewed strength. Here's a powerful exercise to try. Write a letter to your future self. Imagine yourself a year from now, stronger, happier, and more fulfilled. What do you want that version of yourself to remember about this moment? What advice would you give them about staying focused on their growth? Writing this letter is a way to remind yourself that your current pain is temporary and that your future is still full of promise. But growth isn't just about doing, it's also about reflecting. Use this time to evaluate what you've learned about yourself and your needs. What did the relationship teach you? What worked and what didn't? These lessons aren't just about avoiding mistakes in the future. They're about understanding who you are and what you value. This reflection is a cornerstone of Stoic relationships, which emphasize self-awareness as a key to building meaningful connections. Now let's address a common challenge, the fear of being alone. Many of us equate solitude with loneliness, but they're not the same. Solitude is a powerful tool for growth. It's in those quiet moments when we're truly alone with our thoughts that we gain the clarity to understand ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." When was the last time you retreated into your soul and listened to what it was telling you? Here's another perspective. Focusing on your growth isn't just about healing from this experience, it's about preparing for what's next. The stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled you become, the more you attract relationships and opportunities that align with your true self. Think of this moment as planting seeds. The effort you put into your growth today will bloom into something beautiful tomorrow. And let's not forget the joy of rediscovery. As you focus on your growth, you might find yourself reconnecting with parts of yourself you've forgotten or uncovering new passions you didn't know you had. This is your time to explore, experiment, and expand. Your journey isn't just about leaving the past behind, it's about creating a future you're excited to step into. If you're finding value in this conversation, I'd love for you to share your thoughts. Hit that like button and drop a comment below with number 1 to let us know this is resonating with you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more insights on Stoic relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's challenges. Your support helps us build a community of strength and resilience. Focusing on your growth is one of the most empowering steps you can take when someone walks away. It's a declaration that your worth isn't defined by their presence or absence. It's defined by the incredible person you are and the person you're becoming. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll dive into the art of respecting their decision and finding dignity in letting go. Your journey to strength and clarity is far from over. 5. Respect their decision. Respecting someone's decision to walk away is one of the most difficult yet powerful acts of maturity and strength you can embrace. It's natural to feel a pull to argue, plead, or try to change their mind. But true respect, both for them and for yourself, lies in honoring their choice and understanding that forcing resolution often creates more pain than peace. Ask yourself, why do I want them to stay? Is it because you genuinely believe the relationship is the best thing for both of you? Or is it because you're afraid of what their absence means for your life? It's important to distinguish between love and attachment. Love respects autonomy and wishes the best for the other person, even if it means letting go. Attachment, however, clings out of fear, seeking to fill a void. Let's consider a Stoic perspective here. In Stoicism, we learn to focus on what we can control. The choices of others are not ours to command. As hard as it is to accept, their decision to leave is theirs alone. What remains in your control is how you respond. Will you react with desperation, or will you rise with dignity? Respecting their decision doesn't mean you agree with it or that it doesn't hurt. It means recognizing their agency as an individual. They have their reasons you may not fully understand or agree with, but they're valid because they're theirs. Think of it this way. Just as you have the right to make choices for your life, so do they. Respecting their decision is an act of mutual recognition of that shared human right. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending the situation doesn't matter. It's okay to grieve the loss, to feel sadness or disappointment. In fact, allowing yourself to feel these emotions without acting on them is an exercise in self-control, a key tenet of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But how do you balance respecting their decision with acknowledging your own feelings? Start by reframing the situation. Instead of seeing their departure as a rejection, view it as a choice that reflects their current needs, values, or circumstances. This shift doesn't erase the pain, but it helps remove the sting of personal blame. It's not always about you. Sometimes their path simply diverges from yours. One way to respect their decision is by avoiding attempts to persuade or guilt them into staying. Think about this. If someone stays out of obligation rather than desire, is that truly the relationship you want? Genuine connection thrives on mutual willingness, not coercion. By releasing them without resistance, you allow space for authenticity, whether in future relationships or within yourself. Here's an important reminder. Respecting their decision doesn't mean erasing your boundaries. If their departure was abrupt, hurtful, or disrespectful, you have every right to acknowledge that and protect your own well-being. Respect is not about enabling poor behavior. It's about choosing your response with intention and integrity. Imagine this situation as a book. Their departure marks the end of a chapter. You can't rewrite their part, but you can decide how your story continues. Will it be a tale of bitterness and regret? Or will it be a story of growth, resilience, and self-respect? The pen is in your hand. One exercise that can help is practicing gratitude for what the relationship brought into your life, even if it ended painfully. Reflect on the good moments, the lessons learned, and the ways you grew through the connection. This doesn't mean excusing any harm done or ignoring the pain, but it allows you to focus on the positives without holding on to resentment. Another powerful practice is visualization. Picture yourself in the future, peaceful, strong, and content. Imagine looking back on this moment not with anger or longing, but with acceptance. Visualizing this future helps ground you in the understanding that this too shall pass and you will emerge stronger. If you find yourself struggling to let go, ask, what am I holding on to and why? Is it the memories, the hope of reconciliation, the fear of being alone? By identifying what's keeping you tethered, you can begin to loosen the grip. Letting go isn't about forgetting or dismissing, it's about freeing yourself from the weight of what you cannot change. Respecting their decision also means respecting yourself. You are not defined by their choice to leave. Your worth isn't tied to their presence or absence. By honoring their autonomy, you reaffirm your own. You show yourself that you have the strength to stand tall, even when others choose to walk away. As we move forward, remember this. Respect is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. By respecting their decision, you are choosing peace over conflict, dignity over desperation, and growth over stagnation. 6. Lean on your support system. When someone walks away, it's easy to feel isolated, like you're carrying the weight of the world alone. But here's a truth you need to hold on to. You don't have to go through this by yourself. Leaning on your support system, whether it's friends, family, or even a professional, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-awareness. It's about recognizing that healing doesn't have to be a solo journey. Let's start with a question. Who are the people in your life who genuinely see and value you? These are the people who lift you up, remind you of your worth, and stand by you even in the stormiest of times. Often we take these relationships for granted, focusing instead on what we've lost. But when you shift your attention to the love and support that's still present, you begin to rebuild a sense of connection and security. Leaning on your support system begins with reaching out. This can feel vulnerable, especially if you're used to being the strong one in your relationships. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's the foundation of authentic connection. Call a trusted friend, meet up with a family member, or even message someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Share what you're feeling, even if it's messy or unclear. You don't need to have the perfect words, you just need to show up honestly. Now let's address a common fear. What if I'm burdening others? Many people hesitate to open up because they don't want to be a problem. But think about this. How would you feel if a friend came to you for support? You'd likely feel honored that they trusted you. The people who care about you feel the same way. Your struggles are not an inconvenience, they're an opportunity for the people who love you to show up for you. But what if your support system feels small or distant? Maybe you're in a new place, or you've grown apart from those you once relied on. In these moments, don't underestimate the value of seeking professional help. A therapist or counselor provides a safe, non-judgmental space to process your emotions and gain clarity. Therapy isn't just for crisis moments. It's a tool for growth and understanding, a cornerstone of building stoic relationships with yourself and others. Leaning on your support system also means accepting the love and care that's offered. Too often we deflect compliments, reject help, or downplay our pain. But allowing others to care for you is an act of self-respect. It's saying, I am worthy of love and support, even in my hardest moments. Here's an exercise. Make a list of 3 people you can turn to for support. Next to each name, write one way you could reach out to them this week, whether it's a coffee date, a phone call, or a simple text. Commit to taking at least one of these actions. You might be surprised by how much connection and comfort you find in these interactions. Let's also talk about the role of community. Beyond close friends and family, being part of a larger group can provide a sense of belonging and purpose. Whether it's joining a class, attending a local event, or participating in an online community, these connections remind you that you're part of something bigger. They provide new perspectives and opportunities for growth. When you lean on your support system, remember to reciprocate. Relationships are a two-way street. While it's okay to need more support during tough times, don't forget to offer kindness and understanding in return when you can. This balance strengthens your connections and ensures they remain mutually fulfilling. As we've explored throughout this journey, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. You can't control the actions of the person who left, but you can choose to nurture the relationships that remain. By doing so, you create a strong foundation for healing and growth. If you're finding value in this conversation, let's keep building this community of strength and resilience together. Hit that like button and drop a comment below with number 1 if this message is resonating with you. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on Stoic relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's challenges. Your engagement helps us support one another on this journey. Leaning on your support system isn't just about surviving this moment, it's about thriving beyond it. The love, care, and connection you cultivate now will ripple through every aspect of your life, helping you heal and grow in ways you never thought possible. Stay with me, because the next step in our journey is all about learning and letting go. It's time to embrace the lessons this experience has to offer. Let's continue forward together. 7. Learn and let go. Letting go is one of the most challenging aspects of dealing with someone walking away, but it's also one of the most transformative. This step isn't about forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't matter. It's about releasing the grip of pain, resentment, and longing that keeps you tethered to the past. It's about making space for peace, growth, and new possibilities. Let's begin with this. What does holding on achieve? Many of us cling to the memories, the what-ifs, and the unanswered questions because letting go feels like admitting defeat. But here's the truth. Letting go isn't about giving up, it's about choosing freedom. It's recognizing that the weight of the past is keeping you from moving forward. In Stoicism, we're taught to accept the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This idea may feel cold at first, but it's deeply liberating. Life is in constant motion. Relationships come and go, seasons change, and so do we. Clinging to what doesn't align with the natural flow of life. It only creates resistance and suffering. Learning from this experience is the first step in letting go. Ask yourself, what has this taught me about myself, about relationships, and about what I truly value? Every relationship, even the painful ones, offers lessons. Maybe you've learned to communicate more openly, set better boundaries, or recognize red flags earlier. Perhaps you've discovered the kind of connection you want to cultivate in the future. These lessons are gifts, they're the treasures hidden within the pain. But what about the things that feel unresolved? The apologies you never received, the closure you didn't get. Here's a powerful truth. Closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you create for yourself. Closure is a choice. It's deciding that you don't need every answer to move forward. It's trusting that the future holds more for you than the past ever could. Letting go also involves forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning their actions or forgetting the hurt. It means releasing the resentment that ties you to them. Ask yourself, what am I gaining by holding on to this anger or hurt? Often we realize that clinging to these emotions only keeps us stuck. Forgiveness is about setting yourself free, not letting them off the hook. Here's a practical exercise. Visualize the pain, the anger, and the longing as a heavy backpack you've been carrying. Imagine setting it down, piece by piece. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders. This visualization helps remind you that you have the power to release what no longer serves you. Another aspect of letting go is breaking the mental loops that keep you anchored to the past. These loops might sound like, if only I had done this, or why didn't they see my worth? Recognize these thoughts for what they are, unproductive ruminations. When they arise, acknowledge them, and then redirect your focus to the present moment. This is where Stoicism shines again, reminding us that our power lies in the here and now. Letting go also requires patience. It's not a switch you flip, it's a process. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on, and then a memory or a song will pull you back. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. What matters is that you keep choosing to move forward, even if it's one small step at a time. One way to mark this process is through rituals. Write a letter to the person who left, expressing everything you need to say, your feelings, your questions, your gratitude for the good times, and your release of the pain. Then, choose what to do with the letter. Burn it, bury it, or keep it as a reminder of your strength. Rituals like this provide closure and help solidify your decision to let go. Remember, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without the sting. It means being able to look back with a sense of peace and gratitude for the lessons learned, without being consumed by regret or longing. It's about integrating the experience into your story in a way that empowers you. As you let go, you'll find that space opens up in your heart and mind, space for new opportunities, connections, and joys. You'll realize that you don't need to hold on to the past to honor it. The experience, the memories, and the lessons will always be a part of you. But they don't need to define you or hold you back. Learning and letting go isn't just about moving on. It's about moving forward. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your ability to shape your own future. The next step in this journey will focus on preparing for that future and embracing the resilience you've built along the way. Stay with me, because your journey is far from over, and what lies ahead is brighter than you can imagine. 8. Prepare for the future. When someone walks away, it's easy to focus entirely on the loss, the questions, and the immediate pain. But what if I told you that this moment, as challenging as it feels, could also be a launching pad for a brighter future? Preparing for the next chapter isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about using the experience to redefine your path, your values, and your vision for the life you want to live. Let's start with a question. What does the best version of your future self look like? Imagine this person, not defined by the pain of the past, but shaped by the strength and wisdom they've gained through it. How do they carry themselves? What relationships do they cultivate? What goals and passions drive them forward? This vision of your future self is where you're headed, and every step you take now is a step closer to becoming that person. The first step in preparing for the future is reevaluating your boundaries and values. This is a powerful opportunity to ask yourself, what do I want and need in my relationships? Maybe this experience has highlighted areas where you want to grow, like setting healthier boundaries, improving communication, or being more selective about the people you invest your energy in. Use this clarity to shape the way you approach connections moving forward. Next, focus on building resilience. Life will always have its challenges, but the strength you develop now will serve you in ways you can't yet imagine. Think of resilience like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. When setbacks arise, remind yourself of how you've navigated this experience. Let it be proof that you are capable of handling whatever comes next. In Stoicism, resilience is rooted in understanding what we can control. You can't control who stays or goes, but you can control your mindset, your actions, and your commitment to growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle is your anchor. When you face uncertainty, return to what is within your control and let go of what isn't. Preparing for the future also means embracing new opportunities. When one door closes, others inevitably open, but only if you're willing to see them. Ask yourself, what passions or interests have I been neglecting? What dreams have I put on hold? Now is the time to pursue them, whether it's advancing in your career, traveling, learning a new skill, or diving into a creative project. These pursuits will remind you that your life is rich with possibilities. Here's an exercise to try. Write down 3 goals you want to achieve in the next 6 months. These don't have to be monumental. Small, meaningful goals are just as powerful. Next, break them down into actionable steps. For example, if your goal is to improve your health, start with a daily walk or preparing a healthy meal. If it's learning a new skill, commit to spending 20 minutes a day practicing. These small steps compound into big changes over time. As you prepare for the future, don't forget to nurture your relationships. Strengthen the bonds with the people who uplift and inspire you. Share your journey with those who care about you and make time for genuine connection. Building a strong support system not only helps you heal, but also sets the stage for deeper, more fulfilling relationships moving forward. Now let's talk about mindset. Preparing for the future requires a shift in how you view yourself and your experiences. Instead of seeing this chapter as a failure or a loss, frame it as a stepping stone to growth. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How did it help me grow? What strengths did I discover in myself? This reframing transforms pain into purpose, making every experience, good or bad, a building block for your future. As you move forward, keep in mind the importance of patience. Growth and healing don't happen overnight. There will be days when you feel unstoppable and others when the weight of the past lingers. That's okay. What matters is that you keep going, even if progress feels slow. The journey to your future self is a marathon, not a sprint. And finally, embrace optimism. The future isn't something to fear, it's something to create. The choices you make today are the seeds of tomorrow's reality. By focusing on your growth, values, and vision, you're laying the groundwork for a life that aligns with who you truly are. If this message is resonating with you, let's take this journey together. Hit the like button and drop a comment below with number 1 to let us know you're ready to embrace your future with strength and purpose. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more guidance on Stoic relationships, resilience, and personal growth. Together, we're building a community that thrives on strength, wisdom, and connection. Preparing for the future is about more than just moving on. It's about moving forward with intention, clarity, and courage. Your story doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. So take this moment, embrace the lessons, and step boldly into the next chapter of your life. When someone walks away, it can feel like the ground beneath you has shifted, leaving you unsteady and uncertain. But as we've explored throughout this journey, this moment of loss isn't just an ending, it's also a beginning. It's a chance to grow stronger, to reflect deeply, and to create a life that aligns with your values and dreams. You've learned to acknowledge your feelings with honesty and grace, to take the time needed to process, and to find clarity even in the midst of confusion. You've explored the importance of respecting their decision, leaning on your support system, and focusing on your own growth. Most importantly, you've discovered the power of learning from this experience and letting go of the pain that no longer serves you. Now you're ready to prepare for the future with resilience, clarity, and optimism. Every step of this process is a testament to your strength. It's not easy to face loss and uncertainty, but by choosing to move forward intentionally, you're proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. You're not defined by the person who left, you're defined by the person you're becoming. As you continue on this path, remember that growth is a journey, not a destination. There will be highs and lows, but with every challenge, you have the opportunity to rise. And no matter where you are on this journey, know that you're not alone. This community is here to support you, and together, we're building a foundation of wisdom, resilience, and connection. If this message has resonated with you, I'd love for you to take a moment to reflect. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this video has brought value to your life, hit that like button and consider subscribing. Your engagement not only supports this channel, but also helps create a space where others can find the strength and encouragement they need. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity for growth, and your story is far from over. Here's to your strength, your wisdom, and the incredible future that awaits you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.